My name's David Elward. I'm the lead cider maker here at East Street Cider. We're here on site at our beautiful old building in right kind of downtown Goodrich.
As the dogs decide to have a little play fun here, which is good as long as they don't destroy too much of the furniture. It's summer of 2021 and we're sort of just getting ourselves out of the pandemic. How was pandemic life for the cidery?
Well, it definitely was a ride. I mean, a whole roller coaster from, shutting down, bars shutting down, to everything switching to cans, to, just kind of throwing us through to a bunch of legal changes and rule changes within the province, at least. A lot has changed since, I guess, March 2020. That's for sure. Our whole business model, to be honest. Moving from primarily kegs, pretty much entirely over to cans in a matter of a few months. Brought with it kind of a bunch of changes and challenges, but ultimately, I think in the end, forcing us to move to cans, just as from one aspect, moving into getting a lot of our other products into cans, that was a huge change, but overall, for the better in a lot of senses. Just being able to get our product out to people, in the can, so that they can take it home. That was, we've seen a lot of growth on social media and awareness for our cidery, at least, and we're really happy, I guess, to have that opportunity for people to kind of bring cider home, in a can. Yeah.
And you got started in 2016, so relatively new, but not one of the newest groups, because we're seeing incredible amounts of growth. End of July 2022, when we're looking at 120 or so cider producers in Ontario. How has that been part of your process connecting with other producers, whether older or newer, and how is the community in your mind?
The community of Ontario cider producers is it's great. To be honest, throughout the pandemic, with some of the changes that had occurred, we had been talking with some of the other cideries who were facing similar challenges. For us, we're not an orchard-based cidery, right? So there's a lot of other cideries that are in the same kind of position, and we were in a fortunate position, at least into the pandemic, where we have one of our products in an LCBO listing. So with our landmark dry there, we were lucky that even through some of the slowest months as the shutdown kind of just happened, we at least still had LCBOs to be able to sell our product. But as you might know, with the 5-acre rule, because we're not located on 5 acres, we were limited to simply just LCBO sales. But there were a lot of other cideries who didn't have any avenue to move any product, right? If bars are closed, and so that was really tough to see a lot of kind of our friends go through that. But we kind of chatted, and there was a lot of work from like Revel to Rick there, being really vocal and trying to raise awareness, even Flying Canoe Cider as well, trying to help some of the changes, make some of the changes for the 5-acre rule, and allow some of the cideries who are really struggling have a fighting chance, to stay alive. And overall, just the community, it's really supportive. It's really great, as is, a lot of the brewing friends in the beer community. It's really kind of, I think we're pretty lucky here, at least, where nobody really sees each other as competition at all. We're all, at least from our perspective, we're all just interested in making good cider and growing the number of cider drinkers in Ontario and Canada and worldwide. We want to show people the awesome, kind of interesting, fun, funky world that cider can be. Much like the craft beer industry. There's a million possibilities. There's a million combinations of ciders, apples, different fruits, combinations. It's pretty great. So I mean, having all these all this new cideries coming through, you know, we're an open book, and we're trying to share as much information and try and grow the cider market in Ontario as much as possible. It's really good. It's really promising, and you know, we're excited to see kind of moving out of the pandemic what's going to happen in terms of hopefully some of the rule changes, and some of the opportunities that are going to present themselves, I think, for craft cider producers.
And you're in one of the areas where there has been a bit of growth. A lot of the wineries are now adding a cider option. Same with a couple breweries in the area, a couple more dedicated groups there. Have you gotten people that say there's a difference between what you offer here, say even, you know, a couple 100 kilometers up towards the Meaford area?
Yep. Oh yeah. You know, definitely each cidery around here, and even winery too, I think kind of brings their own touch, their own angle, again, to cider making. There's again the number of variables, the number of process changes, and little things that can go so far, from yeast to fermentation temperature, fermentation time, you know, everybody, to apple variety, you know, everybody, I think, kind of makes a little bit of their own kind of, finds their own way in terms of making cider, and has their own vision. For us, it's pretty much, we want to make accessible, kind of interesting, kind of ciders that can, again, anybody, even if you're not a cider drinker, can enjoy. And that's something that we try and really strive for here. Whether it's kind of making a classic cider like our Landmark Dry, or kind of experimenting with hops, or experimenting with different kind of dried fruit combinations. So, you know, the generally the area, at least around here, in Huron County too, with like you said, new wineries opening up, a few new breweries, it's kind of developing itself into a nice little route, and for tourism, and for kind of everybody just to you know, work together in tandem to create kind of a fun experience where, again, you can try 10 different cideries or something, you know, within the same few hundred kilometers, and they'll all bring something different to the table. And it's really nice to see, I think.
Tell me a little bit about the place that you have here, and what are you producing with, and you know, all that kind of stuff.
Well, so we're situated in kind of downtown Goodrich. Goodrich is a small town of about 8,000 people. It's a quaint little spot we have. It's an old industrial building, one of the oldest industrial buildings actually in town here. I think it was built in the 1850s, and we occupy just a small portion of it, maybe 1,500 square feet right now, and it's primarily myself and my partner Ellen, and my brother as well, who does a lot of our sales, especially in the GTA area. And pretty much it's just us three kind of working away here. And we have kind of a simple system here, but it works for what we have going. And we are also, you know, we're trying to expand, we're trying to grow, and we really, this building, I guess, has a long history, and we're trying to incorporate that into kind of our brand, and tell its story and embrace it in a lot of ways. So inside our production space, we have kind of all the original beams. Like, these are 12 by 12 timber beams, and you know, we kept them. There's old sprinkler system it doesn't work, but you know, we kept it, and we're kind of painted it, and you know, we're kind of living in this kind of really special and interesting building that I don't know, we're really lucky to have, I guess, a space in. So, I mean, we're also planning to kind of develop a tap room on the front side of the building. So we have, I guess, started progress on that. And again, this is part of like the original part of the building, and it's It's a really beautiful space. I'll show you guys around, and it's really cool, and we're really excited to kind of welcome people in and have a kind of little experience. And experience, the history of the building, and kind of teach people about it as well as just enjoy some of the ciders that we make here.
The dogs are having a good play fight here, so it's a good thing we bathed him earlier because we'll have to do it again later, but they're having good fun times. So you said hoping some big changes as things come out of the pandemic. Well, what is it that you're hoping to see?
Overall, I think what we would like to see, and we're seeing a little bit of some improvements in terms of the licensing and liquor, act, in Ontario. So we're hoping, I think, and most cideries in Ontario, including the Ontario Crafts Cider Association, hoping to kind of level the playing field and modernize some of the rules and regulations that are around cideries. That's kind of one of the big goals of the OCCA, and we'd really like to see some changes in terms of again making it permanent for small places like us to be able to sell retail to go, even though we're not located on 5 acres. That's one thing that definitely we would like to make that permanent. Right now it is temporary, but that was kind of a big lifeline for us and a lot of other cideries. But that, in addition to kind of again just bringing up to date some of the understandings and regulations around cideries and cider making, in that it has evolved so much since probably when these laws were first created, right? So from a tax standpoint to a lot of to just the production processes and stuff around there. So we're hoping to make to see some of those changes, and just to encourage tourism, to encourage further growth in the cider industry.
And if people want to get more information about your product, where can they go?
Well, you can visit our website for sure, our Instagram, Facebook, and those are pretty much the primary places that we kind of share what we got going on, new ciders that are coming out, all that stuff.
Great. Thank you, David. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys.